Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. In a repeat of a similar operation a year ago, 200 sappers began the construction of a temporary pontoon bridge across the river Vistula in the northern part of Warsaw. 2 temporary pipelines will be laid across the bridge in order to transport sewage from the left bank of the river to the Czajka sewage treatment plant to tackle a leak which is discharging sewage into the river. The construction of the bridge will be finished in 2 days. The Warsaw City Government will bear the cost of the operation. The construction of a pontoon bridge across the Vistula River began today after a repeat of the malfunction of the collector pipe in the Czajka sewage treatment plant, which took place a year ago. 2 temporary pipelines will be laid across the bridge in order to transport sewage to the Czajka sewage treatment plant. The pontoon bridge will be ready on September the 10th. The construction of the bridge will involve around 200 soldiers and the maintenance 50 soldiers. The bridge is 245 metres long. It comprises 6 parts which will be connected with each other later on. In July this year, during a presentation of an expert's report on last year's malfunction of the collector pipe, specialists from the Warsaw University of Technology said that this situation would not happen again. The Mayor of Warsaw, Rafał Trzaskowski, has appointed a special commission in order to investigate the cause of the 2 breakdowns. Well before the first failure, many experts said that the city should build a second sewage treatment plant located on Warsaw's left bank. It is too soon to talk about the construction of another sewage treatment plant. Right now we're trying to focus on the construction of the temporary sewage transmission system. We have to investigate the present state of the current sewage transmission system. After the first failure in 2019, engineer Janusz Wasz said that the situation will happen again because the pipeline was made from materials unsuitable for transporting sewage. The pipeline was constructed without any imagination. It is a gravity pipeline. It is not a pressure pipeline. It does not operate at pressure. I said that it's like a ticking bomb, but I think the experts from the Warsaw University of Technology wanted to cover for their colleagues by saying that nothing bad would happen. According to the expert, a floating pipeline will be a better solution than the pontoon bridge, which will be working only until the end of November. A floating pipeline will be a better solution because you can submerge it if necessary. The construction of the Czajka sewage treatment plant, together with the thermal sewage sludge utilisation station and the transmission system, cost €730 million. Last year's repair to the collectors transporting sewage cost over 45 million zloty. Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, the informal leader of the Belarusian opposition, is expected to arrive in Warsaw tomorrow. Tsikhanouskaya will meet Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki and receive a special award during the Economic Forum in Karpacz. In the meantime, independent Belarusian media report that the regime's security services are attempting to force leading members of the opposition out of the country. Such an attempt was made against Maria Kolesnikova, who was kidnapped by masked assailants on Monday. According to unofficial sources, she is currently being held at a military facility in the Gomel region.
It is well known that the official results of the election of August 9 were falsified. No international organization recognized these false results. The Belarusian people certainly refused to accept this fraud. This means that Mr. Lukashenko does not have any legitimacy as the president of our country. We need international pressure on this regime, on this one individual desperately clinging onto power. We need sanctions on individuals who issue and execute criminal orders that violate international norms and human rights. We need an immediate release of all political prisoners and to start a civilized dialogue in order to find ways for our country to move forward.
The information on the current location of Belarusian opposition activists was first provided by the Belarusian border guard. This stated that the border was also crossed by Maria Kolesnikova. However, this information was disproved by the Ukrainian border guard. Under an hour later, the Belarusian press agency Bielta said that the missing members of the opposition had escaped abroad, but Kolesnikova had failed to do so as she had been stopped at the border. According to the independent news website tut.by, the missing leader of the opposition had been stopped after border control between the checkpoint and the Belarusian border. She was pushed out of a fast-moving car and then caught by the Belarusian border guard. The Deputy Minister of the Interior of Ukraine, Anton Harashchenko, believes that the operation of deporting the leaders of the opposition is aimed at finally discrediting the protesters and putting an end to the demonstrations which have been taking place across the country. The Kremlin also commented on the events which took place at the Belarusian border, stating that the Coordinating Council is an illegal body which should not be negotiated with. The Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, added that he does not believe that there are any political prisoners in Belarus. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, in an interview with Bloomberg, said that the Polish government would press the German authorities to withdraw from the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline project. Morawiecki added that the poisoning of Alexei Navalny showed the true face of Russia's rulers. It is not only the Polish Prime Minister who is demanding that the construction of the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline be stopped. United States President Donald Trump once more again voiced his opposition to the German-Russian project.
Navalny is a very sad example of how Russia is treating its citizens and opposition leaders, and this should be condemned, and not only condemned, but there should be very strong sanctions and interventions following suit. And here I believe that hearing what German leaders are saying, like Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer or Armin Laschet or Friedrich Merz, I think that the decision makers will change their decisions and will, well, they already by the same token finally admitted that this is a political project, because without political involvement...
United States President Donald Trump on Monday said that he would support Germany pulling out of the pipeline project with Russia over the alleged poisoning of a Russian opposition leader, Navalny, but claimed that Germany may have limited options to do so in terms of energy security. Asked at the press conference, he said, "But I don't think Germany is in a position right now, because Germany is in a very weakened position energy-wise. They are closing all their plants, they are closing their nuclear plants, they are closing their coal, they are closing a lot of plants, and they have put themselves in a very bad position, frankly, very, very bad position." The European Union is of a similar opinion. More than 50 MEPs signed an open letter to block further construction of the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. As was emphasised in the letter, they had already called for the suspension of the project in the past. "We don't want to allow Russia to benefit from the proceeds of energy export to the European Union in order to finance its aggressive policies. Stop Nord Stream 2. The poisoning of Alexei Navalny, a staunch critic of Vladimir Putin, has swung the bitterness in international relations between Russia and Western Europe and the United States to the extreme. Construction of the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline is 94% ready, but no work has been carried out on it since December 2019. Archaeologists have discovered more human remains in the former Soviet NKVD prison in Warsaw's Praga district. These are most likely from more victims of the Soviet torturers who murdered Polish patriots who opposed the imposition of communism in Poland. The research is being conducted by a team from the Institute of National Remembrance, headed by Professor Krzysztof Swagryk. Maria Oshinska was there. "I don't regret anything that happened. The remains of at least 2 people were found in the Toledo prison at 6 Namysłowska Street in Warsaw's Praga district on only the 4th day of the archaeological work. Last week, the remains of 3 people were found in the former prison, which triggered the start of IPN Search and Identification Office's investigation. Yesterday, the ground revealed more victims of the crimes of the communist regime. We found the remains of 2 men, one very young, the other elderly, in the place where we are standing right now, right outside the prison wall. Some of the young man's remains are well preserved, although without any clothes, without any chest, but well preserved. The other old man's are destroyed. We know from testimonies, from memories, that victims were buried in the area of Toledo prison, more or less in the part where we are now. So we will soon finish work here on this plot, and then we will move on to the neighbouring plots. According to employees of the Institute of National Remembrance, the remains may be of victims of the communist crimes.
Najważniejsze, co wiemy,
The most important thing we know is that here in this area there were Polish military barracks. Then during the war the Wehrmacht moved in, and in 1944 the same facility served as the NKVD prison. So we link all these victims with the creation of this prison.
Przed nami czas.
The time of the thorough analysis of the material collected is in front of us. Only after the archaeological work and the forensic medical research will we be able to assess whether these people are indeed victims of the communist system. But everything today does indicate that. A former prisoner of the secret police, Colonel Waldemar Nowakovsky, is deeply moved by the discoveries made by the IPN researchers. He was jailed at the Ulica Namiesławska prison in 1941.
Cały czas robi to na mnie ogromne.
It makes a huge impression on me all the time, and I am torn, and I would like to see it. On the other hand, I think that maybe enough is enough.
Myślę sobie, że może już dosyć. Co by było,
If it were to happen again, I would do just the same.
bym robił.
Fragments of Polish uniforms were found near the uncovered remains, as well as numerous personal items that may facilitate the identification of victims.
Przy szczątkach
There were no items by the remains of the young man, but next to the remains of an older man, we found a tiny statue of Saint Anthony, and also some fragments of military uniforms.
Antoniego, bo ja sobie
It's a kind of trifle found here, right? But to me, it makes a colossal impression, because I imagine this soldier in uniform, with these petals, and you know that he was murdered. Burying victims of communist crimes in secret places was a common practice of the security services. Even their memory was erased.
cały czas jesteśmy w tej.
We are on this endless road all the time. We are returning for our own people. The Poles are lying here. Their remains must be found. The archaeologists have said that the work will last until the end of September. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programs. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.